Hello, future millionaires. Welcome to another episode of the Gen Z Millionaires Podcast. So, today I'm in Westgate and I am joined by one of the most fantastic young entrepreneurs in Zimbabwe. He's doing a lot in the industries of chemical manufacturing and in cosmetics. So, please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Nigel RUWONA.
Thank you for having me.
All right, welcome Nigel. So, guys, Nigel is into cosmetics. He has his own company called RUWONA Natural Oils and he's into manufacturing products for our skin that are actually healthier than some of the products that we use in Zimbabwe. And also, you should also check out his chemical manufacturing business. It's called Small Chemicals, and it's actually happening here in Westgate, in Harare. So, Neju, let's talk about your businesses. Can you
Okay,
kindly
sure.
tell us
Uh,
what's Ona Natural Oils and what's
yeah.
Snow Chem? Yeah.
Okay. So basically, yeah, it's a lot that's happening now.
Yeah.
But essentially, with why I started doing what I'm doing now, the story remains the same. So for me, again, it all starts from a personal point of view in the sense that growing up, me, I really, right? And
Mhm.
hives. So we tried getting doctors, we went to dermatologists. Of course, they would recommend things, but I can really find something that would really help with that. Up until my grandmother, they suggested, oh, what if you use something like Lorenzo, right?
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo. So for me, it was like, I'd never heard of it. But turns out it's actually a local plant that grows naturally in Zimbabwe and actually has a rich history of being used as a hair product. Um, of course, then they were just using it to wash their hair because it's got a very sticky, slimy, uh,
Texture.
yeah, that it does if you mix it with water. And then that kind of sparked, trying to understand what was going on and why this was working, unlike the other conventional treatments I'd been offered. So that sparked the debate for me to want to become, a biochemist to try and understand what the science that was happening, behind these plants and behind these, um, these medicines that are not being offered. So that's when we birthed Ona Natural Oils. Ona being, a vision to see.
Yeah.
If you take the direct translation from Shona, but essentially Ona is a combination of science and tradition, and we're using that to come up with solutions for personal care, right? So that's for your African skin, for African hair. That's the premise of what Honor stands to do. Yeah.
Right. So the natural oils part, basically everything you do is natural. No artificial ingredients, no chemicals, etc.
No, not necessarily,
Uh,
because I think we're very big on sustainability,
okay.
right? And why I lean towards that is because, I feel like there needs to be a balance between natural and chemical. Maybe this comes from my scientific background, maybe. But I feel like too much of natural is also a bad thing, and too much of the synthetic is also a bad thing. But I think as brand, as a product, you try to look for the best way to balance the two, right? So with our natural oils, the premise is that you know when we started, it was again just a vision or something that we had thought of to do to say, Zimbabwe has a lot of untapped natural resources, but
Yes,
not the
it's true.
ones that most people think of. Most people run towards mining.
Mhm.
But we're coming with the angle saying that there's so many plants that we have been documented, but no research has been done towards them,
That's
right?
true.
And unfortunately, maybe because we're exposed to a lot of Western media and a lot of exposure to like customs from other places, we don't really value what we have. So, honest stance to say, there's a lot of um, undervalued and underutilized plants that we're trying then to commercialize. And the benefit of us commercializing them is that it directly impacts and helps the communities that it's coming from. So, for example, I would work with Rurezo. So, in most places, Rurezo, it's a weed, right? For most people,
It's a weed.
it's a
Okay.
menace, in fact, because it has a uh, very big studs or very big thorns that it has. And usually people say, I don't buy a Tsuka, I don't buy a Ville motor,
Yeah,
whatnot,
it's
whatnot.
true.
So we're coming in with the sense that what you usually, I feel like people don't value something that you don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't see any value in what you don't understand, what you don't value, you just destroy it.
It's true.
And that's the narrative that was happening with these plants. So we're coming to say, no, these things have value, and we're showing them how it has the value. So we then started building a network of, the women who would harvest these things for us.
Wow.
Why this is a mandate of ours was to say, we're not asking them to change their normal routine or their normal routine, the cleaning hours and whatnot, the household chores. We're simply saying that just get a bucket
Mhm.
and just harvest your reds or then maybe dry it a certain way and prepare it a certain way, and you're willing to purchase that. So that's extra income that did not affect anything with your normal routine or your normal household
Yeah, it's
activities.
very
And
true.
again, very low barriers of entry, right? But these are things that are, coming to help, transforming, or adding additional income for these people. So with that idea, we then on went on to, I think most of last year. That's when we managed to then work with communities in Rwanda, right? So that's which is such a stretch because for us it was the first time being, in Matabele South,
Matabele, yeah.
but that's where these things are. So initially we're just buying from other people, your Marula, your Bible. I know Bible is quite popular now
Mhm.
with the drinks that are coming in and whatnot. So there's some appreciation of what's happening. There's a lot more um, to come up. So we then went to Rwanda and we managed to work with. So far, I think we've got about 500 women that are working with now.
Wow.
Um, that have that work within our harvester network, right? So what they're doing is we've trained them how to harvest sustainably because again, sustainability is a major factor. Train them how to harvest sustainably, show them other value addition um, items that they can gather from using marula, using biobab, and trying to look for ways to maybe improve their methods of doing. Because some of them already have ways of maybe turning, let's say, marula into mukumbi, which is like a traditional, it's like a traditional wine or traditional liquor,
Traditional. Okay.
rather. So the whole amarula thing that you guys are aware of is basically that, but packaged in a
It's a
more
different one.
conventional way.
Okay.
But essentially, they've also making mukumbi,
Okay.
and it's a liquor, right? So it tastes like just, yeah, it's got that distinct taste that you can also find in Amarula.
Amarula. Okay.
Yeah, just to bring it closer to home. So we were coming in to then train them on how to improve their processing methods. Also show them what other avenues they can get, what other income avenues they can get by working with us and us working with them. And our main angle would be wanting to get these raw materials to process our oils.
All right.
So as we know, we use baobab oil, we use marula oil, we use Kalahari melon oil, which is quite new for me because I don't know if you're familiar with mashamba. No,
I don't know what that
again,
is. Yeah.
okay. So we have mashamba, which is like think of your watermelon, right? But this is a an indigenous one, right? In some spaces, I know it's mashamba that down in Matobe they call the amajodo, right? And then again, they just grow naturally in the wild, right? But we're actually coming to say there's actually value in these things. So most people down south use it as stock feed,
All right.
right? Because it's very bulky. So there's feeds, there are donkeys, there are pigs in some spaces. But we're actually saying no, we actually want the seeds because the seeds have a very unique oil that we use, very moisturizing. It's very good for hair. It's very good for skin, specifically African skin, African hair. Um, so now, training someone and showing them how these things have value means they take better care of the space that they're in.
Exactly.
And for them, it's a win-win in the sense that already they're doing their own farming on the side, but this is additional income that's coming
That's coming.
that supports the
Exactly. True.
household.
Yeah.
So it means more money to do other things, maybe access to clean water, maybe for lighting in the house, maybe for
Exactly.
even education for the kids, because
Yeah.
again, this is extra income.
Small groceries, etc.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that we also then worked with there. And then again, going back to the Lorenzo, it's also there in some parts of Rwanda that we managed to get some of it there. So that's basically been, the whole journey of what we do at
Yes,
Ona.
one natural
Yeah,
oils. All right. So everything happens in Rwanda.
yeah.
Harvesting, manufacturing, etc. Everything is done in Rwanda.
So what we managed to do was we've got two sites
Mhm.
here in Harare, and another processing hub. So what happens in Rwanda is mostly processing and semi processing of these raw materials, right? So then say you get your oils from there. So we get our marula, we press our oils, we get your baby, we press our oils there. Then from there on, we distribute some of the oils and bring them here because here it's closer to the labs, here it's closer to the um, distribution points coming
Alright.
from our dad. That's basically the gist of it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you are the spearhead of everything. Everything runs behind you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been it continues to be
Okay.
a roller coaster in the sense that there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and there's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah,
Like
it's true.
just navigating the business business space. Can I call it business space? The business space in Zimbabwe. That's a lot. Yeah,
It's true.
it's
Yeah,
a
that's a
lot.
lot. It's quite hectic. It's
Yeah,
quite
it's a
hectic.
lot.
And I agree with you.
Yeah,
All right. So here in Harare, you've got two sites again that you are
yeah,
currently working on. And this is where everything then finally happens. The whole manufacturing part, the lab
yeah,
testing, etc., until the product is now finalized.
yeah.
All right. And the distribution. How can people actually access your product?
So I mean, we've got a big partnership with Big and Bear. And at this point, they're the largest retailer in Zimbabwe because I think they've managed to survive.
Yeah,
I don't
very
know
true.
how
They've
they do
managed to
it.
thrive.
Yeah, but yeah, and then also have a shop in Eastgate Market,
Okay.
shop I-11. That's where you can also find our products with lots of discounts and promotions happening there.
Uh,
Basically, yeah,
true. All right, guys. So you heard the man. You
yeah,
need to try out their new shop in Eastgate, and definitely you need to try that product.
definitely, definitely.
If there's something that I really like the most about your brand is that
Yeah,
it's an African product and
mm,
it's made here in Zimbabwe.
yeah,
The problem with people is that most people don't even know some of the products that we apply on our skins. They don't know where they're made or the ingredients that they actually use to
yeah,
make those products. And sometimes it can actually be detrimental to your skin, and you get to be surprised when you see your skin fully exfoliating, etc.,
yeah,
and you start to wonder what's really going on. But it's actually the ingredients that are inside the cosmetic product that's you're
yeah,
actually using, and then you don't know what's the reason that's happening. And with your product, I believe that since it's a natural product and it's made by a fellow African brother, I feel
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
actually the right
definitely.
product to use. And once you cannot trust another African person, then who else are you going to trust? You have to trust your own brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Because I was actually looking at this issue with
Yeah,
petroleum jelly. You know
yeah,
petroleum jelly, right? The one they're using in Vaseline. You know, some people, yes, they use petroleum jelly. They think it's quite essential for moisturizing their skin. But then
yeah,
petroleum jelly has a history of being detrimental to skin. Understand? So they make petroleum jelly after processing crude oil, right? It's a byproduct of crude oil processing.
mm,
So after everything, after doing all the chemistry, doing all the stuff, they then say the residue, which is petroleum jelly,
yeah,
is the one that we are supposed to apply to our skins. So
yeah,
you can only imagine. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But the whole issue comes to
yeah,
what are we actually doing to do some research on what we're actually using. So we don't know the ingredients that they actually put in that thing, but yet we use it every single day and we
yeah,
think it's actually ideal for our skin. And the worst part is that no Africans are actually included in the manufacturing of our products. So we don't really
yeah,
know if these people are doing these things to help us or not. So yeah, I think your brand is actually the right way, and we should actually embrace the fact that it's actually made by a fellow brother here in Zimbabwe, and that's the only way out because there's no way
yeah.
you'd ever harm another fellow Zimbabwean.
So
That's for sure.
there's a lot of work that goes into like making a product,
Mm.
right? I mean, I think one of our highlights is the fact that we understand that like I said, for sustainability there needs to be a balance, right? And too much of anything is bad. I think that's what I like to believe. Too much of anything, even water, too much water can be a
Can
problem,
be a problem. Okay.
right? So it's all about striking a balance. So with us, with the whole idea of wanting to go with the traditional way and the scientific way, and finding some way to balance to make it a bit more modern, to say, we've got things like the petroleum jelly. Yes, it does um, moisturize, but it has no other benefits on your skin. So it's like I just applying something and just it just sits on your skin,
On the skin.
right?
All right.
So the idea of us coming up with these formulations that incorporate these natural oils or these marulas, your biobubs, your zimeni and your whatnot is to say we're going the extra mile because you understand your skin needs more,
All
right?
right.
Your
Mhm.
skin needs extra care. So how are we going to do that? We're providing them the product. So you can find that for a simple $2, you can get your body butter that has all the moisturizing properties you need. You've got things like your coconut oil, castor oils, and these are natural oils that are also put in there. All known for moisturizing, all known for keeping your skin healthy. And we go the extra mile to even add the marula oils, which are also very good for it's anti-aging and it has a natural sunscreen.
Oh wow.
So the idea of us adding all these things to say we understand our climate, our
That's
Zimbabwean
true. Yeah,
climate, with a lot of sunlight, a lot of UV exposure also,
it's true.
right?
Yeah.
So you end up realizing that the products that we're applying, we don't have things that cater to that. As much as we're importing all these products, they're not really speaking to our skin
It's
or
true.
speaking to the consumer who's actually buying that in the shop.
Exactly.
So we're coming to say, no, here is a product that actually caters to what you need,
That suits your
that
environment.
suits your environment, that suits your skin, and that takes care of you the right way, the healthy way. We understand there's a growing concern with things like parabens. I know you mentioned how if you it's actually quite sad if you realize when they do most of these studies, even for skin, even for hair,
Mm.
the black demographic or people of brown skin or darker toned skin are not included in these groups. So they actually end up discovering that they were adding parabens to things like your baby oils and your whatnot, your basic moisturizers moving up, and later on they discovered that they're actually causing cancer in black women. And unfortunately, all these products are being marketed specifically towards black women. And then at some point they realize that it's causing skin
Cancer.
skin cancer.
Uh, and yet
Yeah,
people don't even wonder.
they're not even aware of it.
Yeah, that's the problem. I
Yeah,
feel like as an African continent, we've just found ways in consuming everything, including
yeah,
information, and we
yeah,
don't really take some time to actually wonder or to take some research on what's really going on with the products that we're actually using on our single daily lives. And that's quite sad, Honestly, that's quite sad because it's actually easy to destroy a generation or to destroy
yeah.
a
It's
people
it's
that actually consumes everything and they don't really take time to do some research on their products. And if we don't actually find some time to actually take some research on what we need and what we actually do, then it's quite gonna be um, a
yeah,
dystopia for us as a continent. All right, so the other side of your business life is snow chemicals, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's talk about snow chemicals. What made you venture into the whole industry of chemical manufacturing?
It was I mean to be honest, I mean, growing up, I was never enthusiastic about cars. That's a fact. I mean, obviously, you draw a car in
Mm,
primary or maybe like in kindergarten or like in preschool,
mm,
but like I never thought that would be a space that I would be in. But um, again, we realize that there's a big dependence on imports when it comes to car care products. But unfortunately, they're not really catering to what the average Zimbabwean is facing in day to day life,
definitely.
right? And we also realize that there's also ways for us to incorporate some of the natural oils that we have
Oh,
in the products,
oh
right?
wow.
So again, the reasoning behind wanting to use natural oils or the indigenous natural oils rather was to say if we can find as many ways to value add to these oils that we have, it means we can create as many income opportunities, for us to be able to then finance the harvest and matrix that we have.
All right.
Again, there's more than 500 women there. We want to come up with a way of being able to keep the whole channel sustainable, right? So, in our efforts to want to venture into different things, we then found ways of formulating, right, different types of culture products um, using these natural oils,
Natural oils. All right.
right? So that's when it became a bit easier to then say, okay, if we're looking at a, maybe a luxury car that has leather interior or a special type of interior, right? Why not, maybe use a maybe specialized leather cream that has maybe marula or has baobab or mafura,
Mm-hmm.
indigenous oils that also then take care of, because at the end of the day, leather is also skin,
Yeah, it's true.
right? So that's where the conversion started coming into then say, okay, what other things can we do with the oils? So also found other ways to also then turn um, some byproducts from our oil
From oil.
pressing
Yeah.
into like your tire polishes, your tire gels, into your tire shine, the tire shines again, and even the dash shines and things like that. Even your car polishes also, it's the polishes, the waxes. Again, we do this with an intention to say, let's create as many avenues to generate income
All right.
for the people who are harvesting these things. Because if you don't create value, then no one will see the importance of it. And if it's not important, it will just be destroyed.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
Yeah,
Right. So with small chemicals, everything also happens here in Harare, right? We can
yeah.
see the background here.
Yeah,
And
everything
yeah.
happens here in Harare.
Mm.
It's mostly preparations. I think this was like a slightly different space, but it's somewhat still similar to what we were doing.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, it's the the reception moving from cosmetics and the car care.
Exactly.
It's completely different. With
It's
the car
completely
care, I
different.
think
Exactly.
it just moves more naturally. I think maybe cosmetics, since there's a lot of competition, a lot of information that we're digesting from outside,
Mm.
there's less appreciation. But with the car care, I think there's a lot more uptake.
All right.
Um, and what we then discovered was actually the uptake isn't necessarily coming just from people in cars. It's also coming from some household activity.
Households. Yeah,
And
it's
that's
true.
it's not something that I had anticipated, but again, it's something that we welcome. So now even in our marketing, our process, in anything other thinking of our customers, customer profiles, is not thinking about okay, the people in the household, what do they also want? What more can you offer? What more can we do? What more can we add or remove or to product lineup to then feed into that space?
Wow.
Yeah,
All right. So basically, just saying skincare, cars, households, everything. You're gonna
yeah.
take over the whole
That
industries.
is the plan. That is the plan.
You're
I
gonna take
mean,
over the whole industries then.
I feel
Wow.
like it's easier. I mean, I've seen what the Inspo guys have done.
Mhm.
The only reason why they remain profitable, again, we understand this. Black people love chicken. We get it,
Yeah,
right?
soup. Yeah.
But they've I appreciate the way they've managed to control the whole chain. So I think it's called vertical integration, something like that. To then say, from where the marula is sourced, you have access to that. From where it's processed, you have access to that. And then from where you sell your products, you have access to that. Same with that thought process with the with Sibisa or Inspirada. You know, uh, they control where the chicken come from, where the eggs come from,
Oh,
where
really?
the flour comes from, where the oil comes from, where the boxing comes from. So when you buy that fast food item,
Mhm.
basically the cost of production, they control everything in there. So they can control how much they charge you or how much they don't charge you. They can factor in some of the new taxes that rock up every day without affecting what the end customer gets. So that's what I feel like that's the only way to survive in Zimbabwe. I don't know about other industries,
Mhm.
but I think that's the only way to be able to survive. Lean less on imports and try maximize as much as you can locally. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, very true. You know, actually, with the new recent introduced budget, imports are gonna be quite hectic. And for other people who are actually importing their
Yeah,
products outside Zimbabwe, my many businessmen are actually
yeah,
in the turmoil right now. And so the best way is to improvise with the local resources that are available, and you see what you can
yeah.
actually do. All right. So, Snowcam, at what scale are you actually performing right now? Are you really maximizing everything, or you're looking
I
for?
think it's probably this is the second year now. So it was more of like a thing that we started last year, and it's been growing. We've had time to then try to tweak a few things, understand what it is the people actually want.
Mhm.
And I think now the second year, I think we've added a few things and improved a lot of other things. To then say last year was more of like a experimental, because again at this point I feel like with problem in Zimbabwe, if looking at Zimbabwe as it stands, we are the leading car care product manufacturer in Zimbabwe, because unfortunately we rely so much on imports that we barely have anything that's substantial. Plus, also being able to work with the big retailers and getting into as many spaces as possible has also
Oh,
really helped us to then cater for the demands that the market is showing.
all right. And what about price competition? How are your prices like structured?
I think strategic. I mean, we had to be very strategic about it, but I think being made locally has allowed us to then, you know, price our items affordably, but in a competitive way.
All right.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Oh, all right.
So that then comes across as the main advantage.
Oh,
Plus,
that's very true.
from unlike other other items, you find that we can offer, bulk items. Like I know most people can offer soap because I think the car shampoo is quite, it's quite popular to make, but you wouldn't find um, the average person being able to offer tire gel in bulk because they don't make tire gel, or liquid car polish,
Mhm.
right? In bulk. Yes, they can buy the smaller quantities from other imports, but you find that we're the only ones who are able to meet that. You might find someone who wants bulk paste wax, but not everybody knows how to make paste wax.
All right.
So that stands now. That now comes in as our main advantage. They say we have the expertise, we have the skills, we
We can
have the
do it.
inputs,
Yeah.
and that allows us to scale.
All right. So this is actually quite phenomenal. So you
Yeah.
are definitely gonna be one of the leading people in the
Definitely
industry.
we have to be. And
Yeah.
we're not stopping
Yeah.
anytime
You're not
soon.
stopping. I can see. All right.
Yeah.
So I remember last year. It's
Mhm.
last year, right?
Yeah.
2025 in
Yeah.
Nyanga. You won an award for the best speech at the IGS conference. Yeah,
Yeah.
we saw you, Nigel, holding a box with Starling
Yeah,
Kit
man. We
and
got a sterling kid,
yeah.
and then we put it up in Guanda because
Oh, really?
that's at our site. Because again, our processing hub, it became a lot easier to then say for the women that are there, it's free access to the
To
internet,
internet.
right?
Okay.
I think that's one of the things that will also been contributing to the space that we're in.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so it was, yeah, again with any competition really,
Mm.
it's unpredictable, right? But it was a good experience then say because I just come from the fellowship in the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and then that's when we just went straight
Or you
to that,
just came back from Atlanta,
yeah,
then straight to Nyanga.
straight to Nyanga, and it was really interesting to then say, oh, okay, I, they appreciated what the work that we're doing in Kwanta and what we're trying to push as owner, and I think that's what allowed us to then acquire the prize.
Uh,
Yeah,
that was quite phenomenal. Honestly,
yeah,
that's what I actually got to know about you. Because I also had the same issue with highs.
yeah,
Nyawiri,
yeah.
and meaning
It's
there's
a
a
it's a lot.
boarding, I came back from boarding school 2022
Yeah,
and
yeah.
landing in Nyawiri, so it was quite difficult. But then I saw a tweet. Ah, sorry, I saw a post on LinkedIn where you mentioned the whole journey of highs and how your grandmother told you
Yeah.
about the plant and etc. And you were in Atlanta during that time. What was actually happening at that Mandela Fellowship?
So it was. I think the main drive with the whole fellowship was to say, the American Embassy organizes for select African youths
Oh,
from each country, about 54 countries.
yeah.
And I think in Zimbabwe, we had about 6,000 people who applied for it.
6,000
6,000,
entrepreneurs.
yeah, 6,000 applicants, and then they only took
Seriously,
40.
6,000 entrepreneurs.
6,000, they only took 40. Right? So from that 40, that's where I was representing the work that I do.
Oh,
So
okay.
then it gave us an experience, I think, to go to the States. So they put you at random universities. I think maybe based on the track. So they, when I say track, they chose people in public health, they chose people in civic engagement, and they also chose people in business. So I was in the business track. I think the whole journey going to Atlanta obviously had a lot of um, maybe expectations
Mhm.
and aspirations, things that I was hoping to see, things that I was hoping to learn. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you then just have to unlearn when you get there. Obviously, the culture shock because the way they live there is completely different to how we do things here. Uh, basic thing, basic, even the systems there completely different from what we're doing here in Zimbabwe. So that was interesting. That part, just getting to know that, and also we had a lot of time to interact with a lot of Americans and also other people from other countries. Again, in our cohort, I had people from Senegal, Nigeria, Gambia, people from Equatorial Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, no, and like a lot of there's a lot of, but then you get to see different nuances and people and expectations and how you function as individuals. It was quite interesting in that scope, and also from what we were learning and the people that we got to meet. Some of these accomplished people, learning what they did to get to where they are.
Uh,
Because fun fact, Atlanta has the largest number of
like
black
millionaires, yeah, I
millionaires.
know.
Yeah, right.
Like millionaires, yeah, it's true. Like
And it was
millionaires.
quite interesting to get to a space whereby, of course, Atlanta isn't really a good benchmark, but to then say a space whereby, coming from Africa, a space whereby black people or people of darker brown skin or darker toned skin are a minority group. So that shift is just like, okay, there are actually spaces like that, you know. But again, seeing how the community, how they have their own way of Ubuntu, different from what we do here.
Different culture, yeah.
But at the same time, it's quite similar. They're very big on community, and I think it's something that still resonates even here. Back in Zimbabwe, we still have a sense of community, and customs, and and some traditions. They just found another way of doing it, and even looking at the cuisines and whatnot. A lot of likenesses in everything that we do. Um, and again, I think everywhere you realize that food works to connect people.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's a lot, that it's a lot of diverse things happening in the world. Like the world that you live in is actually quite small compared to the world, like everything else happening globally, right? And I think that kind of puts things into perspective. And also now looking at the business perspective, it also opens up your mind to say that, you might not be, it doesn't mean you're failing with the work that you're doing. Maybe just doing the wrong space.
Wrong
And it
space.
opens up to your mind to then say, maybe instead of thinking, no, I'm just Zimbabwean, I should just be in Zimbabwe. Maybe you would work better as maybe a SADC citizen, right? What I mean by that, your scope of work can be in South Africa, Botswana, Mozambique, nothing stops you from doing that.
Yeah, it's true.
There's room for you to be. So now understand those dynamics, you then realize someone might be making coffee in Zimbabwe, but the market might not really appreciate coffee, but you might find someone in Kenya wants that coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So that a whole process was for us to then learn to start appreciating if there are ways we can bridge ourselves amongst ourselves in Africa, and then maybe take that on a global space, then say with other continents and make that work. But essentially, we don't realize that maybe Africa can actually be self-reliant because we have the
We have
people,
everything.
we have
The
the
resource.
demand, we have the resources. All we need to do is just supply and then find ways to bridge that,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So that was basically what something I also learned from that process. And I realized like people are just people. People are just people. Like I had, I had like misconceptions and maybe things I thought are done differently because maybe they're in America and whatnot. But realizing no,
Mm.
the same issues that I might be having, or people where I come from are having, the same issues that they're having there. They also have homeless people. They
It's true.
also have people who are struggling. They also have people who are, adverse poverty, and people who are, you know,
Poor
like yeah,
healthcare.
yeah, marginalized and things like that. It's there, it's everywhere. But so it's up to you now in whatever community that you're in. It doesn't necessarily have to be like opening an NGO that transforms all of Zimbabwe. No, simple things can be done in your street. Simple things can be done in the space that you have access to. Right? Then instead of waiting for someone to come from somewhere to come and give you the inputs to help your people, no, the little that you have can make a difference in the space that you're in.
It's true. Yeah,
So
apparently most people actually don't realize that. We
no,
actually think maybe things can actually be better when they're bigger. And we don't
no,
realize the most important part comes from the small things that we actually have. Like what you're currently doing in Rwanda. People really didn't know that the weeds can actually be churned or can actually be used to manufacture a body oil, a body cream. People didn't know that. So
yeah.
that's quite interesting. And
Thank you.
it's really sad, as a continent, as Africans, that we actually neglect these important things that are actually surrounding us. And once we actually get to realize how important they are to us, then we can actually be able to make a
Mm.
difference. And also the whole issue of collaboration. How are you actually collaborating with fellow entrepreneurs in Zimbabwe with your businesses? Are you doing that or you're just doing it alone?
So what? So I think I mean maybe I can highlight some of the things that we're doing. Still in development rather. So we're actually developing for Honor. We're actually
Mm.
developing a multi-level marketing, like a so it's a network marketing type of item. To then say we've got the products, we've got the chain coming up of where the things are made and how. But now our issues, let's say, I believe like being able to sell something is good, but being able to get someone else to sell to someone else,
Yeah, that's a big part.
that's business, or rather now that's actual impact. So we're saying, okay, we're still developing it. We've done a few test runs. I think so far we've got about 200 people working on that to participate in this program. We've done a couple of trainings, done a couple of sessions, done a couple of deployments of people trying to sell the products and getting feedback. Again, it's a continuous loop. So what I can call it is like think of it as our own Avon in Zimbabwe or
All
our
right.
own
Oh, and
Inuka.
Inuga brands. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So the idea is to say, here are the products. Let's look for ways for you to earn when you sell personal sales. Let's look for ways to earn when you recruit. Let's look for ways to um, for you to earn commissions when other people also sell. So a lot of work is being done around that, but that's basically our main drive to want to to uplift other people to then say we're not asking to change your dynamics or anything, but the network that you have, let's monetize it and then you can earn from it.
Just distribute our
And
product.
also, once you distribute those products, you're also actively contributing to the women who are harvesting these.
Uganda.
Exactly.
All right. So how do people actually get to join this institution, this
So
platform?
right now we've got, you just simply have to just DM us on any of our social media or whatnot, and we can send
All
you the
right.
link from there.
Mhm.
Links to our groups and also maybe a signing up form that you need to fill in, and then from there on you can start seeing how the system works.
All right.
We're still developing the app and the website, and I think that should make it a bit more seamless in terms of being able to support them to sell, ordering and reordering and payments and whatnot, because we're still integrating into a whole ecosystem.
All right.
And planning to even go further and add some AI aspects to make it easier for someone to sell. Like simple things like maybe they can just take a picture of someone and they can recommend products for you to use based off what it analyzes from there. But that's like still in development, but it's something that should be coming up within that app to also make it easier for you to sell.
All right. So all over Zimbabwe, people can actually be able to do it, right?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you are,
It
what
doesn't
you.
really matter where you are, even outside of Zimbabwe, we're open to that.
Oh,
We can
seriously.
make it work. I mean, nothing stops us. These are our products, we're all African anyway. So
All right. So
yeah.
maybe you can actually give the Instagram details to one of our viewers that plays.
So what you can do is you can look for Ona Natural Oils. So it's ONA natural oils. That's basically it. Yeah, and
All
then
right.
just get in touch with us from there, and then we'll give you the we'll give you the prompts on how to go forward. Yeah.
Okay. So it's only happening with Honor, not
Mm.
with Snowkill.
No, it's okay. It's a different model.
Okay.
It's not that model works better with health and wellness
All right.
as compared to like that's why you see Herbalife and people like that getting into that space. It's easier to because for us it becomes easier to then say there's a package which has maybe a tea that helps with lowering your BP or baobab powder that helps to nutritional boost with vitamin C, whatnot. It's easier to sell that as a package as compared to
All right. Yeah.
a
Car
package.
products. That's
Well, the
it.
car products, right? Something that we're also then I think rolling out starting this month. We also come up with some combos to sell that we're selling that make it easier for people to get the full set, to try the full set without feeling like shortchanged in the sense that we've got uh, again we've really taken time to understand what happens in Zimbabwe and the whole experience of having a car.
Mhm.
So like one first things I'd tell someone is like, okay, you spend thousands to buy a car, right? But you're washing it with
Dishwashing liquid.
dishwashing liquid for pots,
Mhm.
right? And I believe like with your first car, you need to take care of it because we've worked for it.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
true.
it's even in our culture, it's you know, it's not something that just wake up and just go buy a car and come
Yeah,
back. You know,
you.
there's a lot of work, there's a lot of input that's done. So we're saying Snowcam is coming in to help you maintain that price, the price that you have for your
For your
work and
vehicle.
for your vehicle, right? And we're offering a combo of products that have for your first car. So for the first car package
Mm.
that has your car products, your tire gel, your dash for your interior. We've also got your car wash and wax because you need to wash your car and wax. And again, we're saying you need to use the right products for your car. You need to maintain your car. Not just go to $12.
Wow.
Then we've also got another combo for the pothole combo because understand there's a lot of potholes in
Photos
Zimbabwe,
in
right?
Zim, yeah, it's true.
So you need to maintain your tires, right?
Mm.
And there's a lot of dust and there's a lot of whatnot. So also have another $18 combo that entails those things to give you your windscreen cleaner because there's a lot of dust.
Mm.
Unfortunately, you might be in the CBD, but
But
there's a lot of
just is
dust.
everywhere. Yeah.
So we've got windscreen cleaner. You've got your dash for interior. You also have a tire job, the tire shine. Also understand there's a lot of work that goes in there with the wheels, right? You
Mm.
wake up, you clean them, but then the 2 minute drive outside,
Yeah,
you have
very
issues.
true.
But our tires and our dash and our tire are made in a way that they last and also repel the dust.
Wow.
All right, so that's the science behind that with the tire job. Then we also have, we know some of you guys, some of our customers really, they honestly say the ones who are washing the cars, right? So even at home, you've also got a package for your gardener to also use a gardener combo. So you can have everything that you need with your products for them to use when they clean their cars, when you clean your cars.
Oh,
So you find they've got extra soap in there because understand there's a lot of cleaning to be done for both for your interior, your carpets, your seats, and your exterior also. Then you've also got some other treatments for your leather and for your paint for your car because you really want your car to shine, right? And the bigger package, the $30 package is the one that has a full range. So call this one the big data combo because it has everything in there, and we know,
mm.
the guys who really want to take care of their cars just get the big combo.
The car lovers get the big combo.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. That's basically because again, you need to take pride in your car,
Yeah, it's true. It's
so you
true.
need to take care of it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
All right, I understand.
yeah.
Oh, all right, Nigel. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks for
very, very
having me,
much for the
man.
time. I really appreciate you, and I really hope that our audience is gonna appreciate all that you have actually said. And I
Yeah.
hope you can increase in sales definitely. And own a natural oils. Honestly, guys, you
Yeah.
should actually try its products. I can testify personally. I've used
Mm.
own a natural oils, and I can really tell you guys it works for sure. So it's definitely worth it, and you should give it a try. So,
Thank you.
would you mind sharing your socials to our audience?
So you can just look for my personal LinkedIn page. Just look for Nigel RUWONA, same on Facebook, and basically that's where I am, Facebook and LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That was Nigel Warner, our guest for today. He's going to be a future millionaire. He's part of the circle, and thank you so much for watching. All right.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Sure.